Hey folks, what's up? This is Adam here. I can't see the guy. We're on the Movie Vault. Back to review the sequel to the original Leprechaun movie. This goes by the simple title Leprechaun 2. And for those who haven't seen my first movie review on the first Leprechaun movie, I own the Blu-ray set here. It's nice to see all these films on Blu-ray. And we get Leprechaun 2. The first things I want to point out are the bad facts, despite this movie being my favourite Leprechaun movie at the whole bunch. Now, people give their reasons for not liking these Leprechaun movies. I can understand those reasons, saying they're silly, outrageously bad. Saying that he's no horror icon to be like in the League of Freddy and Jason and Chucky and all those obvious, horror icons. I agree with those statements, but at the same time, I can't help but love these movies, especially for Leprechaun 2. Leprechaun 2 is my favourite of the whole bunch because I had a lot more fun with it. I thought the scenes were a little bit more humorous in this movie. I mean, the first movie that came out, it was Jennifer Aniston's debut movie, and it was considered a worst movie as well. So, making your worst movie in your debut. We know the story of the first Leprechaun movie. The fact that he was captured, he was trapped, put in a crate, the four-leaf clover on the box, all those years later. Jennifer Aniston plays that girl by the name of Tori, moving in that house with her father. One of the painters knocks off the four-leaf clover, the leprechaun escapes, and he's after his gold, and we know the full story. But the ending, the leprechaun melts, he has the four-leaf clover shot in his mouth, he melts, and he falls down in the well, and they blow up the well. But it left some indication that the leprechaun's still alive. Well, in Leprechaun 2, it doesn't take place after the first movie. That was one thing that kind of disappointed me, because I was looking forward to see Jennifer Aniston's character back, as well as many other characters from the first movie. But sadly, it isn't lore to the first movie. None of the stars or actors in the first movie are mentioned in the second film. None of them appear. The only person who re-inspires his role is Warwick Davis, who plays the Leprechaun. So it was good to see Warwick Davis come back. Now, Leprechaun 2, it did come out in the cinema, the theatres, and it was the last one to come out in the cinemas as well after the first movie. Leprechaun 3, which is the sequel to this one, was released straight to home video the following year. But Leprechaun 2 was released in 1994. In fact, its official release date was April 8th of 1994. Yeah, made $2.3 million at the box office, but this page doesn't specifically state its budget. I know for a fact that this movie got a higher budget than the first movie. So that was one little positive factor. I had no problem with the first movie, with its low budget and all that. I don't judge films by the budget, but this one had a little slight higher budget. You can tell with the quality of the movie. But like I said, Leprechaun 2, made in 1994. Yeah. So like I say, it was disappointing it didn't take place after the first movie. It's a whole new different story, whole new different setting, whole new different location. Warwick Davis comes back as a leprechaun for the second time. The film takes place 1,000 years ago in Ireland. Leprechaun is chasing after one of his slaves, O'Day. And the leprechaun confirms that it's St. Patrick's Day, and it's his birthday. He's 1,000 years old, and he has the right to claim his bride. Anyway, he claims that his chosen bride sneezes 3 times, that she basically gets married to the leprechaun, basically. And his chosen bride is the daughter of his slave. But he promises to set his slave free the second he's wed. He says, "God bless you, my child." She sneezes 3 times, and he runs away. Leprechaun breaks his slave's neck, and Leprechaun vows to remarry again in 1,000 years. So the film skips forward to the present day. There's this guy. Just need to remember his name. Yeah, it's the Patrick's Day in Los Angeles on St. Patrick's Day. And there's a guy named Cody, and he's running this little business with his uncle called Morty, who's a drunk. And they got this little business going with these tours, which are like scam tours. And the business isn't going very well. His uncle Marty's too drunk to drive. Cody goes ahead, and he ends up getting blamed for certain crimes that weren't his fault. Instead, when he went through this red light, he got arrested for that. But basically, his uncle is like a lazy, worthless alcoholic. Marty, who's too drunk to do anything. You know, there's even a scene where he wasn't willing to pay for his own pizza when the pizza delivery came, stating that he was entitled to free pizza when he was just a few minutes late. You know, and he's got this girlfriend by the name of Bridget, and she's in the same bloodline as the O'Day family. That's the one who Leprechaun is vowed to make him his bride, you know, in this movie. You know, we get the scene where Leprechaun comes back out of a tree, and he rips out this gold tooth of a guy, of this homeless guy who's drinking blended Canadian whiskey. And he's like, the only real whiskey is Irish whiskey. You know, he pulls out the guy's gold tooth, pours the whiskey to rinse out his blood, but the homeless man manages to get away. And he even confesses to the police that he saw a leprechaun, and they all think he's crazy. You know, I love that little gore scene on the streets where Leprechaun is on the streets and that guy throws him a quarter. And Leprechaun's like, what's this? And he's like, a quarter, you know. And he says, your gold would be nice. And there's a scene where he rips off this guy's finger. Nice little gore scene. So the gore in this movie is slightly better. And slightly more nicer to see due to the budget being a little bit higher. So we get a scene where a guy's gold tooth has been ripped out of his jaw. We see a scene where a guy's finger gets ripped off. Another great gore scene, which comes up later on, is the coffee shop, but I will get to that. Well, like I say, while the leading actor, you know, Cody has been arrested, I think there's this guy by the name of Ian, I suppose, who's trying to get to have sex with Bridget. You know, there's a scene where he takes her home. You know, Leprechaun chooses Bridget as his bride, but there's a scene like in the garage scene, and I love this scene. It's a scene where Bridget has basically took her top off and she's got these nice, gorgeous tits, you know. But whether they're hers, I don't know, because it shows a scene where you see her tits, and there's a separate scene which shows the upper half of her body, like a face area. So I don't know if they were her real tits or what, but all I can say is they were fucking nice. You know, he goes to kiss them, and unaware that it's a leprechaun doing some hallucination spell. It turns out to be these lawnmower blades. So when he goes to kiss her tits, you know, his face goes into the blaze and he cuts his face up, but we don't see anything, just a little bit of blood and his face being mutilated in the shadows. And it was a leprechaun all along. You know, he tries to capture Bridget to say that she's going to be his bride. You know, we get the scene where Cody manages to steal one of the leprechaun's gold coins, a gold shilling. You know, I like the fact that we see more of like the leprechaun character in this movie. We see more humorous sides of him. We see more horror sides of him, because there's a lair scene, you know, where Leprechaun's like in his lair with Bridget. And he's making all them wise jokes about saying he wants to sleep with her, and you know, he confirms to her that O'Day is in the blood, you know, in like the bloodline, and he vows to marry an O'Day. You know, he explains to her that one of her ancestors, he tried to marry her before, but now he's got his sights set on Bridget because it runs in the same blood. You know, there's a scene where he's trying to marry her, but then he gets off put because, you know, when he gets his pot of gold, he realises there's a gold shilling missing, and then he has to have it back. That's the only thing that's stopping him from proceeding with the wedding procedure. You know, there's even scenes where she tries to escape, but she realises she's just going around in circles, saying that there's no way to escape his lair. You know, Leprechaun's then on one big mission to get his gold shilling back. I love the bar scene where Leprechaun's in the bar, and so is Marty and Cody. You know, one weird scene in this movie, I have to admit, was where there was like a piss-taking scene in the toilets, and one of the actors that came in was this little black leprechaun offering milk chocolate gold coins, and I've seen that actor before. Believe it or not, I didn't even know this until just looking him up. He was like in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, you know, where he played Station. You know, he was in Beetlejuice as the preacher, you know, and he's been in Bad Santa as well, so he's a good known short actor. But he was actually in this movie playing this leprechaun with these weird eyes, offering milk chocolate in the toilets. And I'm thinking, what kind of fucked up scenes are that? But that's the scene we got with him. Because there's, in the bar, there's loads of little small actors, and in fact, I believe that Warwick Davis's real life wife is one of the short women in the bar scene. Because Marty comes up with this scene about trying to get Bridget back, so his best idea is to get the leprechaun drunk. So he's buying him all these shots, you know, they're all chanting, one of us, one of us, one of us, and, you know, Warwick Davis's leprechaun character is like knocking back all this whiskey, you know, and all these drinks because they're celebrating St. Patrick's Day. You know, I love that little, you know, phrase where he goes, drink what you want, drink what you're able. If you drink it with me, you'll be under the table. You know, I love that scene so much that when I met Warwick Davis in person and he signed my autograph, I asked him to write that phrase on me, my autograph. I'd show it to you right now, but it's packed away with some of my belongings that I'm moving into my new house. But he was cool with that. I told him that Leprechaun 2 was my favourite one out of the bunch. You know, mainly because of the humour and the good little scenes. You know, many would find the Leprechaun scenes annoying in this movie, saying that he's no Freddy Krueger and he's an annoying character with an annoying voice. You know, saying he's not a scary or a funny character. He's more like an annoying character that just gets on everybody's nerves. I beg to differ. I like the Leprechaun character, but I love him a lot more character-wise in Leprechaun 2. You know, I love the bar scene. Love the good little gore scenes, because speaking of gore scenes, what I was going to mention immediately after the bar scene, Leprechaun's like in this coffee shop. He's drinking like all these cups of coffee to get sober because he tries doing some magic and he's that pissed he can't fucking focus properly on his magic. You know, there's a scene where, you know, the assistant behind the counter is taking the piss out of the Leprechaun, making fun of him. You know, and Leprechaun like stabs these forks through his fucking hands, and then he gets the steam off the kettle and burns his face. So he's like melting and scalding, and so I like that gore scene, you know. So we've got that scene, we've got the teeth ripping out scene, we've got the finger ripping scene, you know, some good little gore scenes. I would say one crazy part of the movie is where the Leprechaun's on the goat cart like he was in the first movie. I mean, in the first movie he was like, you know, he was like in that toy car trying to get away from the cops. Where in this movie he's like the same, going after Marty. You know, Marty does get his demise, apparently, you know, in this movie. You know, where all this gold comes out his stomach and all that shit. So, I wasn't particularly a big fan of the Marty character. I've seen better drunk characters. You know, I mean, Cody's character was fine. I thought Bridget was beautiful. Not the best actress I've seen in the world. I still prefer Jennifer Aniston over her. I mean, I give her props for them gorgeous tits, you know, if they were hers. So that was a nice little scene to watch. You know, Cody's now on one big mission to try and get Bridget back, and he uses the missing gold coin to, you know, get into the lair to try and free Bridget. There's a scene where Bridget tries to kill the leprechaun by stabbing him with the leprechaun's favourite horn. Bends on his neck, so it's pretty useless against the leprechaun. And Cody succeeds in rescuing Bridget. The scenes in the lair where they go from one place to another, and it seems like they're running around in circles. You know, but they manage to get out the tree blows up, hence thinking that the leprechaun's dead. You know, so overall, my favourite Leprechaun movie. I do like the first one, but I enjoyed this one a little more. Not due to a higher budget, but the fact I thought it was like more fun. Basically, I had more fun with this movie with like the comedy side of things. It wasn't like hysterically funny, but it was just like chuckling a little bit to watch the leprechaun in them sorts of scenes. Scenes where he's drinking, using all these different catchphrases that I liked. You know, I like the little concept that he's trying to get a bride in this one. You know, they just threw the gold in just as a to remind you of what's more important to him in life. You know, the gold coins. You know, his pot of gold. Love the little gore scenes, like I've already mentioned, with the finger, the tooth, the stabbing through the hands, the scalding of the kettle. You know, so the nice tits, as I keep on mentioning. I just wish we could have seen the little gore scene, where his face actually goes into the lawnmower blades and cuts up his face. That would have been a great little scene to watch, but I don't know if it was due to budget reasons or they were just trying to find an easy way out not to include that scene, but it's one scene that I would have liked to have seen, Like I said, it was the last Leprechaun movie to be released in cinema as well, in theatres, just like the first movie. And I think that happened until we got the shit remake Leprechaun Origins that WWE made, starring Hornswoggle as the Leprechaun. Fucking horrendous piece of shit. But this movie I had a lot of fun with. I think it had the good sense of comedy, good little gore scenes. But didn't go over the top with the gore or anything like that. But, overall I was satisfied, with it taking place in Los Angeles and all that kind of thing. It was good to see Leprechaun little adventure, but it was just overall disappointing at the fact that it did not have anything to do with the first movie. The fact it didn't mention Jennifer Aniston or any of the other characters. It's just a whole new different story in a whole new different setting in a whole new different direction. So it's a shame it wasn't more true to the original. But in my opinion, this film does have positive factors, and I've already named them all. So that's all I've got to say, everyone. That's my review for Leprechaun 2. Like I say, it's my favourite movie in the franchise, so check that one out if you haven't seen them already. But like I say, make